Welcome everyone. In this video we're going to be talking about 5 key concepts that are absolutely essential for any successful mantra meditation practice. These concepts can help you to deepen your practice, strengthen your connection, and they can also help you to experience a very significant inner transformation in your life. So this is now episode 2 of our mantra meditation video series. In our first episode, we introduced the basics of what is a mantra. So if you're someone who is brand new to mantras or you haven't seen that video yet, we recommend starting there so you can have a solid foundation for this video. So with that being said, let's now introduce the first concept that is absolutely crucial to any successful mantra meditation practice. So in the first episode of this video series, we said that mantras can help to connect us with very pure and elevated states of higher consciousness. So basically when we recite or even think about a mantra, we're basically invoking or calling on those very pure and sacred energies, and that's going to be very beneficial for our own consciousness. So this is really the first key concept to be aware of when we're working with mantras, that higher consciousness beings or higher consciousness energies really do exist, and they can be incredibly helpful at transforming our own consciousness in very significant ways. And as we start to do our mantra practice, this is something that can often be very tangibly felt. And so this realization that higher consciousness beings and higher consciousness energies really do exist, that can help to lay the foundations for everything else in our practice. So we understand that for many people who are following along with this YouTube channel, you might already be practicing something like Reiki or some other form of higher consciousness-based healing. And so this is something that you might have already realized for yourself in your own practice. And if you have, you might also agree that this realization can be a very profound first step forwards as we start to, again, very tangibly feel something, as we start to open up to these beautiful higher consciousness-based healing practices. We would also like to say that just by understanding that higher consciousness beings or higher consciousness energies really exist, this is a really powerful teaching in itself, especially for those who may just be starting out on their spiritual pathway or journey. So for example, when we used to teach Reiki to people in person, we used to really love seeing people just glow with excitement as they started to feel something. And you can just start to see them realize that, like, wow, there really is something up there that's responding to my intentions. So for us, this first concept is really, really important. And so we wanted to point this out for mantras as well, because once someone has really felt or experienced this in their own practice, or they've had this first realization, then they're going to be able to more deeply and fully experience many more beautiful awakenings on their mantra meditation journey. Okay, so after we've had our first realization that higher consciousness exists, it's natural to start feeling a deepened sense of faith and surrender and gratitude. So let's go through each of these 3 things because they're all super important concepts to be aware of when we're working with mantras. So for example, when we feel a deepened sense of faith as we're connecting with our mantra practice, then this can help to strengthen and improve our connection overall. And then as we continue to progress, this is also something that has an upward spiraling effect as our faith continues to strengthen and as our connection continues to deepen. So we would say here that having faith in higher consciousness really is very, very important. And normally this feeling of faith will be something that builds and builds as you continue to feel more and more from your own practice. Okay, so another way that we can improve our connection to higher consciousness during our mantra practice is by surrendering ourselves up to those energies. So essentially we're aiming to get to the point where we're surrendering really everything we are, We're offering ourselves up to these energies entirely. It's a deep feeling of surrender and just letting go. So we can just surrender or let go all of our impurities. We can surrender anything that no longer serves us on our journey forwards. That's also fun. And basically, when we surrender ourselves up to the energies, we're essentially taking refuge in those higher consciousness beings as we allow ourselves to be protected and uplifted into those higher and higher frequencies of love, light, peace, joy, and understanding. And as we continue to surrender more and more with each session we do, this feeling of surrender can also help us to more easily dissolve or melt into those higher consciousness beings or energies that we're working with through our practice. And so again, when we surrender ourselves, this can really help to strengthen and deepen our practice overall. And so at this point, we'd also just like to say that the concepts of faith and surrender really are very complementary to one another, and they can both help us to feel a deeper and more profound connection to higher consciousness over time. Maybe you can start to feel a deeper sense of inner calmness or peace or benevolence or love. And it's normally when we start to connect or feel this inner calmness or peace within that we can quite naturally start to feel a sense of gratitude sort of welling up in our heart. And when we start to feel this heartfelt gratitude welling up in our practice, this can often help to, again, strengthen our connection to the mantra energies and quite significantly. And so we would also just say that cultivating gratitude is another very, very important element when connecting with mantras. Okay, so something that becomes abundantly clear for anyone who might be working with any kind of higher consciousness-based healing or meditation practice, it's basically that our intention behind receiving those energies plays a very big role. And this same concept definitely applies to mantras. So for example, if we set our intention for the mantra energies to be received for ourselves or for our own issues, then that's totally fine. It just means that we would start to receive the energy in direct proportion to that intention. So in this case, for example, we would receive the mantra energies so that we can help clear away our own issues. But if we were to now ask those same mantra energies to be received for the benefit of all beings, so that all beings can be helped, then this is a bigger or wider or more expansive intention. And it basically means that we're now going to start receiving those mantra energies much more expansively. So in other words, when we start to cultivate expansive and benevolent intentions, it can help us to create more powerful and profound connection to these deeply loving and compassionate higher consciousness beings. And because this is such an important topic, this is something that we're going to be talking about in much more detail in the later videos in this series, because we really want to give you some examples of what we mean by setting your intention expansively. So for now, we just wanted to highlight just how important your intention is when you're working with mantras. And we also just wanted to mention here that the mantra energies themselves are going to be helping you to promote these kinds of expansive intentions very naturally, just when you're connecting with them. And so again, this is something that we're going to be coming back to in some of the later videos in this series, because this is just super, super important to be aware of when you're working with mantras. So when we're connecting with mantras, the teaching of oneness or interconnectedness is really very, very important and can be highly beneficial for our practice. And the essence of the teaching of oneness really is quite simple. It's just that we're all one infinite energy source. But when we start exploring this in a little bit more detail and more deeply in our practice, it really is something that can bring us very profound results. So for example, we've just been talking about how important our intentions are. And we said that it can be a nice idea to set very expansive intentions in your practice. And we also mentioned briefly that the mantra energies themselves can help to provide you with some very powerful energetic assistance. And that's going to help you expand your intentions very naturally. So if we now introduce the concept of oneness into our practice, this can firstly help us to more easily cultivate those expansive and benevolent intentions. So for example, if we consider ourselves to be one with all people, animals and nature, it's almost automatically going to expand our intention and understanding of who we really are. And then secondly, if we're able to digest or embrace that concept of oneness in our practice when we're connecting with the mantras, this is also going to help us more easily merge with those higher consciousness energies of the mantra. Now, after all, we are just one, and we can be one with those energies as well. And as we continue to digest this teaching, we can start to think that we're not different to Source or Creator or God as we're connecting with those mantras. And so if we start to interweave that understanding of oneness into our practice, it really can help to expand our intentions very naturally, whilst also helping us to more easily merge and become one with the energies of the mantra. And so this is really why the teaching of oneness can help to benefit our mantra practice very, very significantly. Okay, so when we're connecting with mantras, it's quite common that after some time, we're going to start to feel a very nice connection to these beautifully loving and benevolent high consciousness energies. And as we establish our connection with these beings or energies, another very helpful concept to ponder on is the idea that we're always going to be divinely guided. So for example, when we're connecting with mantras, perhaps we're feeling a very nice sense of peace or love within. When we're in that connected state, you might all of a sudden get a new idea just pop into your mind. Maybe you're facing a challenge in your life at the moment, and you just find that the solution just comes to you when you're in that connected state. So this is actually quite common when we're working with mantras or any kind of higher consciousness based healing or meditation practice. It's sort of like having a light bulb, one of those sort of aha moments. And when that solution or idea just pops into your consciousness, it can often be accompanied by some sort of intuitive feeling about how to move forward in your life. And so for us, these are all really good examples of divine guidance. And so when we're connecting with mantras, this is another thing that we can be aware of and to look out for, when you're in that connected state of being. Okay, so these are the 5 concepts that we wanted to share with you here in this video. In the next video, we're going to be doing a deeper dive into these concepts as we talk about how and why mantras can be so powerful for spiritual transformation. So for now, we want to thank you for joining us, and we hope that these 5 concepts can help you to feel more connected in your mantra practice and feel more love and peace and joy in your life.